But let me just tell you that The Wild Robots, which is the film I'm going to talk about that I saw in
Yeah.
cinemas, and this is a film that I spent a large part of watching this film going, this is going to be a 5 star.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I spent a large part of watching this film thinking this is going to be a five
A
star.
large part, but not all of it.
Not all of it. Not all of it. It eventually, and I will spoil my own review and tell you that I ended up on a four. I ended up on a four.
Okay.
But honestly, Sharon, you know how I usually tell you that, okay, things are animated and you hate things that are animated and anything like that? And I usually say, if you see one film,
See this
this
one.
one I
Yeah.
think you'll actually like. This one I think you'll actually like.
Okay.
Because, I mean, it is the basic story about it is that there's these robots, like it's set in a future where you have these assistant robots. So imagine if Siri on your phone has all of a sudden become a robot that can be in your house and all that. And while this robot is, well, there's 6 of these units. They're called Rosum units. They're being shipped. As they're being shipped to a destination, they get to a shipwreck and they crash on this island, in which there's no humans. There's no humans on this island, just animals. And one unit survives, gets accidentally turned on by the animals on the island, and then immediately wakes up, and it's kind of like one of the things where the robot wakes up and goes, "Hi, I'm a Rosum unit, blah blah blah. I am here to help. What task do you have for me?" And starts walking around looking for something to do, but because there's no humans, it's about what happens when this robot goes in, and there are. I mean, this is directed by a guy who directed Lilo and Stitch, a guy called Chris Sanders, and you can see there's elements of Lilo and Stitch in this. Like if you remember Lilo and Stitch, I mean, I remember watching it and thinking, "Oh, cute thing, oh, cute everything." But when I actually watch the film, you realize that it's about an alien that is designed for a specific purpose, and ends up in a place where he cannot complete that purpose. So there is that kind of thing about it. It's like, what happens when you put a robot in this situation? How does the robot go about it? How does the programming go and everything? And in the so when you the animals first meet this robot, they're like, oh, it's a monster. Well, you don't know what the animals are saying because they're animals, but like they're running around and everything like that, and they're running away from it. There's a bit where, and eventually in the misadventures of this robot, which ends up being called Roz, voiced by Lupita Nyong'o, very very well, I must say. This robot ends up. Well, let me put it this way: this film is part AI, part Lilo and Stitch, and it's part David Attenborough documentary. In that, in the first 10 minutes of this film, there's a lot of animals dying, but in a very kind of like, well, that's just nature. That's what happens. And for a kids film, it's kind of like, and it's just kind of like unceremoniously happening as well. And so while she's being chased by a bear, by a grizzly, and when this bear traces her, she falls down and she lands on a nest. She lands on a nest, and then when she gets up, what she sees, she just sees a flappy, lifeless wing. But there's one and a whole bunch of broken eggs, but there's one egg remaining there. And then her task now becomes look after this egg, and get this goose ready for migration. Get this goose. So it's all about with the goose. He needs to, and they break it into feed, swim, fly. You've got to teach this goose to swim, to this goose to swim, to eat, to swim, to fly. And then it becomes a film about parenthood. It becomes a film about parenthood, which obviously in my particular state at the moment, I might be quite susceptible to. But there was a bit during this film where I was honestly thinking, I don't think I'm emotionally ready for how this film is going to end. I was sat down there going, okay. If they're going to do what I think that they might do, I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I don't think I'd handle. And there was a bit where, because there were quite a few parents in there with me with their kids, there was a bit where I was pretty sure I could hear some parents sobbing, and then there was bits where I
Oh,
could hear some kids sobbing. I mean, it's one of these things. There's pretty much not a human being in this film. There's no human character in this film.
yeah.
And it pulls that wonderful trick that something like Toy Story 3 did, where there's a bit where you are sitting down there and you're I mean, most people would admit to the fact that they're crying. They're crying when you're watching. There's a bit in the furnace in Toy Story 3 and you're crying. And this has that same kind of effect where you're crying at this robot talking to this bird and this fox and everything like that. Unfortunately, the bit where it goes back from you can feel this film fighting with itself as to what kind of ending to give you, as it's getting towards what kind of ending are we going to go. Are we going to go for the American mawkish ending? Or are we going to go for the gut punch, kind of like really huge emotional punch, ET ending kind of thing? And you can feel it fighting it, and it decides to try and have its cake and eat it, where it tries to go for a big, bombastic, American mawkish kind of thing, and still also tries to go for the sort of gut punch thing. And the big, bombastic final sort of like, everything blowing up scene, that bit just did not work for me. It did not work for me. It did not fit into the rest of. I think you could essentially. Yeah. I could almost. Oh, sorry. Go away. I know it's based on a book. I don't know exactly how close to the book it is, but I could feel like a studio person sitting down there going, "Well, we need to have a big thing in the final thing. Yeah, something's gonna blow up. What's gonna happen? It's like, where's the spaceship? Where's the?" You could almost feel that, yeah. and the ending of the bit was kind of like I was going, "Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, no, you're ruining it, you're ruining it, you're ruining it." What? Then what? But if you did that, you wouldn't have did that anyway. So you could just have cut out those 10 minutes. But I loved this film. I thought it was so good. It was so good, and it was there was a couple of things where, at the end of the film, there was a family behind me, and they were discussing the film because they were waiting through the credits to see if anything came up and everything like that. And there was a family behind me, and one of the girls was like, so this family watches another family as this family carries their crying child out of the cinema because the film has been that effective. And this girl, who might be about 8 or something like that, she goes, that was like me when I was 5 and I watched Inside Out. And she just said that.
That was a mouse with babes.
and I was like, oh wow, that is awesome. But yes, I mean, there are some animated movies that are just really, really affecting. Toy Story 3, Inside Out, the first one. There's a certain point in Inside Out which I always cry at. I cried at this. I thought this was brilliant. Like a nature ecological fable, has elements of Toy Story. Has Toy Story 3. I said Iron Giant, AI. This is a very, very well made film. It's beautiful to look at. It's almost sort of painterly.
So what style of animation is it? Is it, because I'm not an expert by any means?
It is computer.
You'd say it was more painterly than.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely painterly. Like there's bits of it. There are beautiful scenes. There are absolutely beautiful scenes. There's beautiful scenes of of birds. There's one particular one of the geese migrating and all flying together that sticks in my mind. And it's painterly because nowadays they're trying to. There seems to be this move to go away from the sort of, let's say, something like a Minions. Minions, it's animated and everything looks also plasticky and looks like toys come to life running around on screen, where they're mixing different things in. And it started off with I think it was Spider-Man: The Spider-Verse, which is computer animated, but there's bits of it where it looks like a comic, and there's bits where things are moving, but it looks like a moving comic. And so then you had Puss in Boots: The Last Wish that did that. You had the Bad Guys that did it as well, where it's almost as if they're computer animated, but it's as if they've gone over the top of the computer animation and they've drawn with a pencil. And there are bits of this that are the natural world that exists in this film is brilliantly rendered, and it has a whole bunch of people, because eventually the animals start talking through a way that actually makes sense. Yeah, that actually makes sense within the way of the film. The animals start talking, and you have a beaver voiced by Matt Berry, a goose voiced by Bill Nighy. You have Pedro Pascal voicing a fox, but as for my money, he's doing almost an impression of Jason Bateman when he voiced the fox in Zootropolis. It's almost exactly the same. It's almost exactly the same character. But yeah, I mean, I said I'll give this a 4 out of 5. I thought this was really good. It could have been a 5. It could have been a 5 if he had just held back on the American bombast. We need a big third act.
That big.
Yeah. If they'd held back on it, this would have been an excellent movie. As it is, it's just short of excellent for my money. So yeah, that's 4 stars for The Wild Robot.